All right, so we are going to keep moving right through Genesis chapter 30. We are going to cover verses 25 through 43, which ends out that chapter. So before we talk through the legacy that is born, the wives, the babies, and all of those things. So we're going to pick up in verse 25. And in verse 25, it says that after Rachel had Joseph, after Rachel finally has her first baby, this is the 12th child, the 11th son and the 12th child for Jacob that has been born while he has lived with his uncle Laban. And so um, he goes to Laban and was like, "Hey, I've been here for a long time. I came, I saw, I conquered. I got all these kids out here. I have this entire family. I have built a lot of wealth. I have a lot of stuff. Let me leave. Let me go ahead and back to my country. I want your blessing. I want you to go ahead and tell me it's time. Like let's part on good terms. Like this is my 2 weeks notice. I want to go ahead and leave. I'm leaving in the right way." And typically you would ask to be dismissed. Some people had this kind of old school table manners. You have to ask to be dismissed from the table, and then they would dismiss you. You don't get to just get up and walk away. And so it's a very similar thing. If you are a guest in someone's house and you've been staying there and you now have commingled assets, you have some things that you've been working for this person, you have to put in notice, "Hey, I'm ready to go. Could you tell me when I can leave?" Because he now has to replace this person who has worked with his flock. He now is getting ready to have both of his daughters and his grandchildren who have grown up in his household um, leave. And so you can't just be like, "Okay, I worked, I made enough money, let me go." And now you leave this gaping hole behind you. You have to be dismissed properly. And so um, Laban says, "Look, man, I know, like, that this has been a great situation for all of us. This has been an amazing opportunity. You have a blessing on you that has trickled down and it has blessed me. So we are all becoming wealthy together. Like, let's just stay together. We don't got to break this thing up. Don't break up the band." Because as a group, as Jacob is part of this team, the blessing of the Lord is on him. God said, "I will provide for you. I will make you wealthy. I will give you everything you need." And because of that, everyone who's around him, just like Abraham, everyone who's around him is blessed. And so Laban is trying to hold on to this money maker. He's trying to hold on to this blessing. And so Jacob is like, "Look, um, just break me off a little something. Go ahead and pay me for the work that I've given you, because I worked for you for 7 years before I got a wife, and then I worked 7 years after that, and I've still been here for more time, and I need to go ahead and be released from this situation. I'm ready to go ahead and live my life and take care of my family on my own. I don't want to have to stay in your house any longer." And so he's like, "So what do you want your wages to be? What do you think I owe you in this situation? How can I pay you when you leave?" And so Jacob says, "Look, your cattle grew while I was here. You got more sheep, you got more goats. Like you have multiplied in that way while I've been here and caring for these animals. So I'll take everything that's not perfect. You keep the perfect ones, but you give me everyone that's brown, everyone that has streaks, everyone that has spots. Give me those that have color. Give me those. That way we can clearly separate, and you're not worried about me taking more than I should, or me thinking that you're going to take more than you should. They're easy to tell apart. If you look at my sheep and you don't find a spot, or you don't find a streak, or you don't find color, there's no black or brown ones among them. There's a pure white one. Then I stole from you. But like, give me the ones that just are marked by color. That way we can tell them apart. We can divide our assets real easy, and that's going to be it." And Laban agrees. Laban agrees, and when he does, he said, um, let me see, verse 34. It says he says, "It'll be according to your word." But in verse 35, Laban goes and removes every spotted, brown, streaked, goat, lamb, sheep, whatever it is that's over there. He had his sons take him and travel a 3 days journey away. He separated them so you can't even like, I think you done got off into the distance with my. He took those sheep and hid them from him so that he would have nothing. And it makes his flock look pure. So the sheep that you wanted to have don't exist. That's weird how that happens. So while Jacob is out in the field working for him, is watering and taking care of the flock that he has, he separates all the ones that should be Jacob's reward and moves them away a 3 days journey so that Jacob can't get them. He don't know where they are. He doesn't know what's going on. He gets cheated out of this. So again, Laban has cheated this man. And so Jacob takes the rods of green poplar trees and hazel and chestnut trees. So he takes a rod or like a switch, a stick, a branch, one of the skinny small branches off of that tree, and he cuts them, like removes the bark. So all you can see is the white on the inside of the tree, like the flesh of the tree. He removes that outer layer of bark and you can see the flesh on the inside of the tree. And so he puts these rods that he has that are now streaked or cut so that the flesh of the tree is showing. Then he puts it into the water troughs. He puts it where the flock come to drink their water. But he goes to the place where they typically will mate. And so he puts it in the water there so that they're going to see these rods, or they're going to be in the water. And so they're going to drink the water that has, these rods have been soaking in. And so when they come to have babies, these babies are born speckled and spotted and brown and streaked and all of those things. And so he separates every time there's a new litter that's born, there's a new sheep or a goat that's born, he separates the ones that are spotted from the others. And when those strong animals come to mate, or to like when that particular area that they go for that, when they come to mate, he puts the rods down so they see them. And when these children are born streaked and spotted and all those things. And I'm saying children like kids. I'm sorry. The kids are born. They are brown and black and spotted and streaked and speckled and all these things. Like you can see color on them. They are the ones that they agree, Laban and Jacob agreed would be for them. Be for him as his wages for the time that he has worked that he's going to walk away with. And when the weaker sheep come, he removes the rods. So the weaker ones are these white, uncolored sheep or goats that are belonging to Laban. So the stronger animals are mating and giving off strong offspring who are colored and spotted and speckled, which would belong to Jacob. And the weaker animals are the ones that are pure in color, and they would go to Laban. And it says there in verse 42, verse 43, it says the man increased exceedingly. This man got wealthy. He got rich, y'all. And had much cattle and maid servants and men servants and camels and donkeys. And so he now has gained enough that he can start to buy other things. He can pick up servants. And we're talking about servants, we're talking about nannies, butlers, housekeepers, cooks, that type of servants. And so he is picking up all this material wealth because, again, the blessing is on him. And he is, every time he's touching something, everything he's working on something, it continues to grow. So that closes out that his plan works, and Laban's attempt to trick him and defraud him does not. So I'm going to stop here. Quick recap. After Joseph is born, Jacob is like, it's time for us to go on back home. I've been out here long enough. I did what I came to do. Enough time has passed that I should be able to go home. My brother shouldn't still be mad. I should be able to go home and everything should be okay. Or at the very least, I'm willing to risk it. And, it's enough of us now that I can go and do this. And so he goes to Laban And it's like, hey, can you go ahead and dismiss me from your home? I am ready to go on back to where I came from, and I want to take my wives and my children with me. And so Laban is like, okay, well, what do you think I owe you for the time that you were here and worked for me? They make an agreement that the pure lambs and sheep and goat would belong to Laban, and the spotted, speckled, the colored ones would belong to Jacob. And so Laban tricks him and has him working out in the fields. And while he's out in the field, he pulls the animals that are spotted and speckled that will belong to Jacob and sends them away with his sons a 3-day journey, so he cannot find them. He doesn't know where they are, and he has kind of defrauded him. So, first thing is, when you make a deal with somebody and you feel like you're going to trick them out of something, this is why we got to be saved and be honorable and integral about things. So when you feel like you're going to trick somebody and you make these deals, understand that God is not going to allow you to treat his people any type of way. He's not going to allow you to get over. It may cost them a little extra work, but I can assure you that they're going to be more blessed in the end than they would have been if you'd have just left them alone. Those sheep that he hid away, that Laban took away, were a fraction of the sheep that he ends up with in the end. So don't try and jump out there. And if you're going to defraud somebody, don't let them keep working for you. You going to mistreat somebody and you shorten paychecks, don't let them keep working for you. Because especially if God is working on their side. Because now, while you over here trying to run your game and keep it hidden, God is blessing them with your assets to your default, to your destruction. Because Laban certainly lost out in the deal in the end, because even his uncolored, his unspeckled, those pure sheep are giving birth to speckled animals. He wasn't even able to continue to keep the ones that he had. He wasn't getting any new ones in their places. They were having babies that belonged completely and totally to Jacob, and only the strong ones were. The weaker ones were giving birth to the ones that he had. So he's ended up with a feeble flock after this. So he's in and out real bad. So Jacob goes after this and he gets these branches off the trees, and he strips them. So strips some of that outer bark off. And this outer bark, standing in the water or near the water where these animals would go to conceive, is what makes these animals speckled and spotted and all those things. We're going to talk about how they get to be speckled and spotted and how he even got the idea or this plan to do this in our next chapters. But I want us to remember, let God fight your battles. Let God fight your battles. Don't feel like you need to get him back. Don't feel like you can do it better than God can. Let God fight your battles. Because what Jacob did was, instead of him going and saying, well, you hid all of my spotted ones, I'm going to take all your pure ones. He didn't do that. He didn't fight fire with fire. He didn't go that route. He said, cool, I'll stay in here and I'll work a little bit harder. But I can assure you, at the end of the day, when all this is said and done, what I have is going to last, and it's going to be greater than what you have. And it was. He became very wealthy, and he had all of the things that he needed when it's time for him to go home. He now has the servants to take care of the flocks that he has. He now has the animals, these camels and donkeys and these outside cattle. He has that to go with him as well, which makes a difference in his travels. It makes a difference in the way he even prepares to meet his brother, as we read in the next chapters. So with that said, let God fight your battles. Don't fight them on your own. And do not try and trick nobody, especially somebody that got God on their side, because you're going to get God. And Laban got God trying to play games with God. So understand that the blessing of the Lord rests on you. And you can make a difference in different situations. Jacob carried the blessing of the Lord. We carry God's Holy Spirit. We carry his blessing. We carry his favor. And understand that alone is enough to make everybody that comes in contact with you better. So you go be great, and you carry God's blessing with you. Y'all have a fantastic day.